I have always had a love in my heart for Darkwing Duck. And it's really kind of hard to explain. But, I watched DuckTales. I watched The Mighty Ducks. I was in love with all things Daffy Duck. There's just something about ducks. And now you have a superhero duck? I was all on board. Now, I definitely wasn't old enough to watch it during its first run, as it ran between 1991 and 1992, and I was one around that time. So yeah, I don't think I really watched it seriously around that time. So I mostly caught it on reruns. But man, I ate up those reruns. There was just something about it that initially engaged me. But I never regularly saw it all the way through. But the thing that really made me a Darkwing fan was a comic book that I actually used to own called Just Us Justice Ducks. And one things I always remembered from the animated series was Negaduck, the dark reflection of Darkwing Duck that was much crueler, meaner, and more oppressive. And the Just Us Justice Ducks comic was Negaduck getting together all of Darkwing's greatest foes. We're talking Bushroot, Megavolt, the Liquidator, Quackerjack, all of them together. And I always loved Darkwing's villains. The Liquidator was basically Hydro Man. Bushroot was basically, I would say the Floronic Man, but I'm pretty sure most people won't get that reference. So, Poison Ivy analogy. Quackerjack was essentially the Toy Man, and of course, Megavolt was the Shocker. So a mixture of Batman and Spider-Man villains for the most part. And of course, you had DW, Darkwing Duck, who was basically a narcissist with a big mouth who would go out and try to save the day as best he can, along with his adopted daughter Goslin, who I always loved their relationship because Goslin was just such a little brat. But I always did love the fact that Darkwing always really did seem to care a lot about her, and his sidekick Launchpad, which Launchpad's presence in Darkwing Duck always threw me, because I knew he was in DuckTales, and then I'd see him here, and I'm just like, okay, is his time with Darkwing like a night job? Because it always seems to regularly be night in St. Canard, except when it isn't, which threw me off even more. So I'm just like, okay, he must like work every other week between the two. Because it's not like Launchpad was in every episode. Ultimately, I think it was revealed that Launchpad it was a separate continuity, but where's the fun in that? Like, it's like, oh, it's an alternate reality. There's nothing fun about that. I like the way that the newer DuckTales series explained it. It's just like, Launchpad just goes between. Sometimes he's with the McDucks and the whole clan there, and sometimes he's with DW and St. Canard. It's just the way it goes. Duckburg and St. Canard ain't that far away from each other, and Launchpad just sleeps on the flyover. Or was it the drive over? Either way. But the idea of the Just Us Justice Ducks was Darkwing needed a T. He couldn't be so conceited that he could take on all these guys by himself, because he tried and he failed. So he had to get together some characters I don't actually recognize from the series. There was this big dinosaur dude who I didn't recognize too much, a Girl who I didn't recognize too much, who was basically like Aquaman analogy, but she was more violent, kind of like Namor. Morgana, who was Darkwing's kind of sorceress love interest. And I always found that kind of nice because she was like all big and curvy and had this big wasp of hair, like Marge from The Simpsons almost, but not quite as big. And how into Darkwing she was always adorable. I always kind of loved that relationship they had going on. And of course, the amazing Gizmo Duck. Again, it's just like, Gizmo Duck is in this too. How is there no connection to DuckTales? and Darkwing and Gizmo. Like, Darkwing especially was against Gizmo because he knew Gizmo was better than he was at being a hero. But oddly enough, Gizmo didn't ever, as far as I know, ever take off the Gizmo Duck costume when he was in Darkwing Duck. He did it regularly in DuckTales, but as far as I remember, he never did that in Darkwing Duck. If you know of a moment he did, please let me know in the comment section below because I don't remember that ever happening. Then again, I'm also talking about several hero characters who I don't remember all that well. But I loved it when they all had to come together. They tried to work as a team, but it initially fell apart because of DW. They all got captured, so DW had to come in, rescue them, get them out of the confinements that they were in, and then we had this big, awesome clash of all the heroes coming together. And I love that because I know it's not just a comic, it was an episode as well. But I've read through that comic so many times. The thing, if I were to show you a picture of it, it's worn down from how many times I've read that comic. I hope I can still find it somewhere, but regardless, that really was the thing that solidified my love of Darkwing Duck. And when he made his appearance in the DuckTales reboot, I was all on board. Now, initially, I wasn't quite certain if I would love it because Jim Cummings wasn't doing his voice. He was voicing another Darkwing, and we never got closure on that situation, which was a bit of a shame. But I think it was it Chris Demantopoulos? If that's how you say his name. I swear to God, I'm butchering the name of who I think it is. But I think he currently plays Mickey Mouse as well. But he did actually a phenomenal job, and initially that portrayal of Darkwing, he didn't have as much ego because the Darkwing in that universe was an actor at the time. Darkwing was a previous series, but then Darkwing actually became an actual character, and they even brought over all of Darkwing's villains from the alternate universe where it's not just a show, it's an actual existence, which I thought was really fun. And you even got Taurus Bulba, who was a villain of Darkwing for the longest time. And how the universes mixed and matched and melded together was a little off, but it was still a lot of fun to see Darkwing in action again, to just have him be an ally of the McDucks and all that stuff. It was just such a phenomenal thing. And like he got a full on, what was it, an hour long special called Let's Get Dangerous that tells you how absolutely lovable this character is. There's just this attraction to this character, and it's been brought to a new generation because of that. Honestly, I was really hoping that the people who worked on the DuckTales reboot would work on the new Darkwing Duck series as well. But apparently that's going to Seth Rogen and his animation company, which I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes. It is still a shame to me that it isn't that team because they did such a phenomenal job on DuckTales. And I know that they could have just really brought some awesome stuff to the forefront for a Darkwing Duck reboot. And we could have even potentially continued to see the McDuck clan make appearances in the new Darkwing Duck series. But that's me trying to have my cake and eat it too. But I've always had positive memories of Darkwing Duck, his catchphrase, "Let's get dangerous." Oh man, there's just something about that catchphrase. And even though Darkwing is just a goof, he's not even always the most capable combatant out there. It was the fact that you had someone who wasn't the most able fighter around still do his best to take down the bad guys, and he'd have to work past his own ego a lot of the times. He had a lot of flaws, and I think that's what made him fun to watch, because he did fall on his face plenty of times during the course of things. But he never stopped trying, he never stopped fighting, and he always did what was right in the end. And that's why I looked up to Darkwing Duck to a certain degree. He was a fun, interesting character who was filled with flaws but always came through at the end. But tell me, what are your memories of Darkwing Duck? How did you get into the series? What did you think about the reboot? What do you the rebooted DuckTales portrayal? And what do you think about the upcoming Darkwing Duck reboot? Are you excited? Are you nervous? Let me know your thoughts. And if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for notifications. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.